It started the night Ellen went to bed early, something she did often after her late shifts at the hospital. Nothing strange about it. She kissed me goodnight, said something about needing to rest her feet, and disappeared upstairs with a glass of water. I stayed up watching some garbage TV show on mute, mostly staring at my phone, flicking between apps out of boredom. That's when I came across a Reddit thread titled, "Creepiest Thing You've Ever Found Online?" People were posting screenshots of weird Facebook profiles, abandoned blogs, stuff like that. One comment mentioned obituary scams about people faking deaths to steal identities or mess with relatives. Something about that stuck with me. I don't know why. I wasn't thinking about Ellen specifically, just curious. It was late, I was half asleep. So I Googled one of the sites people mentioned, a legit obituary database. Just for kicks, I typed in Ellen's name, Ellen Marie Carter. I expected nothing. But I got a hit. At first, I thought it had to be someone else. It's not exactly a unique name. But the listing had our town, Springfield, Illinois, and her birthday, June 12, 1988. That stopped me cold. I clicked on the entry, still thinking it was a coincidence. It wasn't. Her full name, date of birth, town, occupation, everything matched. She was listed as having passed away on March 15, 2024. That was 3 days ago. But Ellen was alive. Upstairs. Asleep in our bed. My mouth went dry. The obituary read like any other, beloved wife, devoted nurse, lover of animals. Then it said something that made my blood run cold, survived by her husband, Mark Carter. Who the hell was Mark Carter? My name is Evan Carter. We've been married for 5 years. No one calls me Mark. There's no Mark in the family. I sat back, just staring at the screen, trying to process it. I told myself maybe it was a typo, maybe someone else edited the entry. But everything else matched too much to be a mistake. I checked the website URL. Legit funeral home in our area. I Googled Ellen's name again. This time, a second result popped up, a memorial site. I clicked it. Same obituary. Same date. Same photo. That's what hit hardest. The photo. Ellen smiling on our back porch, sunlight in her hair, holding our dog, Max. I took that photo myself 2 summers ago, just after we got the deck stained. It was never posted online. Never sent to anyone. It lived only on my phone and our home computer. How the hell did it end up in an obituary? I felt a chill crawl up my spine. I opened the image on my phone to compare. It was identical down to the tilt of Max's head, the pattern of sunlight on the wood. This wasn't some stock photo. This was ours. A noise behind me made me jump, the soft creak of the upstairs floorboards. Then the toilet flushed. Ellen. I slammed the laptop shut, heart pounding, like a kid caught looking at something he shouldn't. I don't know why I did it, just instinct, I guess. I heard her footsteps on the stairs. Quickly, I opened the fridge, pretending I needed water or something. She came into the kitchen, rubbing her eyes, wrapped in my hoodie. "You okay?" she mumbled. "Yeah," I said too quickly. "Just couldn't sleep." She yawned, smiled at me, kissed my cheek, and padded back upstairs. I stood there, staring at the closed laptop, my pulse hammering in my ears. She felt real. Solid. Warm. But that photo was real too. And the obituary, it existed. I didn't imagine it. I barely slept that night. When I did, I dreamt of her cold, pale, lying in a casket while someone else's voice called her name. The next morning, Ellen made coffee like always. She packed her lunch, kissed me goodbye, said she'd be home around 8. I nodded, smiled, played along. I didn't tell her. Not yet. I needed to know what I was dealing with. As soon as she left, I opened the laptop again and went back to the obituary. It was still there. Unchanged. I tried calling the funeral home listed on the page, Miller and Sons Memorial, but it went straight to voicemail. I didn't leave a message. Then I checked our computer. Found the original photo. The same one in the obituary. It had never been uploaded. That made no sense. Unless someone had access to our home network or cloud storage, there was no way they could have gotten it. I started checking our email accounts. No breaches. Nothing unusual. But when I looked at Ellen's recent browser history, I found something strange, a search for how to report a death from 2 weeks ago. I stared at the screen. My first thought was maybe it had to do with a patient. She's a nurse after all. But then I saw a visited link, Social Security Death Index submission form. Why would she be looking at that? The front door opened. I jumped, but it was just the mailman dropping off a package. I was jumpy now, on edge, every sound making me flinch. I sat back down and kept digging. I pulled up her text messages. Normal stuff mostly. A few from coworkers, her sister. Then I saw one from an unknown number. Is it done? Sent last week. Ellen had replied, soon. I felt the blood drain from my face. What the hell was going on? I sat at the kitchen table for hours, staring at that message thread. The number was unlisted, no name, just a question and an answer. Is it done? Soon. I told myself there had to be a rational explanation, but that voice in my head, the one we all try to ignore, whispered otherwise. I didn't want to admit it, but something about Ellen's recent behavior, it had changed. Subtle things. She'd been spending more time on her phone, locking it when she used to leave it open. Taking calls outside. Canceling plans. I chalked it up to stress from work, that's what she told me. But now I wasn't so sure. I copied the unknown number and ran it through a reverse lookup service. No luck. Burner phone, probably. That in itself was telling. Who still uses burner phones unless they're hiding something? Around noon, I went to the funeral home listed on the Obituary, Miller and Sons Memorial. I didn't call. I needed to see it for myself. It was a modest building, gray brick, nestled between an old church and a convenience store. As I stepped inside, the air turned cold. Not physically, just a heaviness, like I shouldn't be there. A receptionist greeted me with a practiced smile. I told her I was looking for information on a recent obituary. She pulled up their records on her computer. Ellen Marie Carter, I said. Her fingers froze above the keyboard for a second, just a second, before she typed it in. Her eyes scanned the screen. I'm sorry, she said, but we don't have anyone by that name in our records. I blinked. But I saw her obituary on your website. That's not possible. We only publish obituaries for clients we've served. She turned the monitor slightly toward me. There was nothing under Ellen's name. I pulled out my phone and showed her the link. She looked, frowning. This isn't our website, she said. It looks like ours, but see the URL? She pointed. The domain was different by one letter. I zoomed in. She was right. Instead of millermemorial.com, it was millermemoriai.com. The last L was actually a capital I. A fake site mirroring the real one. Someone had gone through a lot of trouble. I thanked her and left, heart pounding. In the car, I checked the fake site again. It was still live, still showing Ellen's obituary, photo, and all. I tried to trace the domain registration. It was anonymized. No owner listed. The deeper I dug, the worse it got. Back home, I started thinking about that photo. It hadn't been uploaded, yet it was online. I checked the home computer again, digging through directories. That's when I found something new, a folder I didn't recognize, Tax Documents 2023. It was buried deep, not where we normally kept files. Inside were PDFs, seemingly normal. But when I opened them, they were all blank. I checked the file properties. They'd been created 3 weeks ago. By Ellen's user account. I kept digging and found another hidden folder, photos_backup. My pulse quickened. Inside were dozens of images of me. Taken from behind while I was on the couch in the kitchen, asleep. All taken from odd angles, like through a door crack or from the hallway. I felt sick. Why would she be taking pictures of me like that? I heard the garage door. Ellen was home. I snapped the laptop shut and tried to act normal. She walked in, smiled, kissed my cheek like always. I could barely look at her. Over dinner, she talked about her day, a difficult patient, a rude supervisor. I nodded, gave short answers. She didn't notice. After we ate, she asked if I wanted to watch a movie. I made an excuse about work emails. She went upstairs to shower. I waited for the water to turn on, then I went into her purse. I know. I shouldn't have, but I had to know. Her phone wasn't there, just her wallet and keys. But I found something odd, a folded piece of paper. I opened it. It was a printout of the obituary. I felt my knees go weak. Why would she print it out? Suddenly, the water stopped. I shoved the paper back into her bag and left the room. That night, I barely slept again. She lay beside me, breathing softly, peaceful. I stared at the ceiling, thinking about the message. Is it done? Soon. And that folder of photos of me. Someone was watching us. Or maybe she was. The next morning, while she was in the shower, I copied the fake obituary site and the hidden photos onto a flash drive. I didn't know what to do, but I needed proof in case. That's when I noticed something else. On her nightstand, under a book, was an envelope. My name written on it in her handwriting. I opened it, hands shaking. Inside was a note. Evan, don't trust anything you find. I can explain. Please, just wait. My blood turned to ice. She knew. I didn't go to work that day. I sat in the car for half an hour after Ellen left, just gripping the steering wheel, replaying the note in my head over and over. Don't trust anything you find. I can explain. Please, just wait. Those words didn't calm me. They terrified me. She knew I'd found something, but what exactly? The obituary? The photos? The messages? Or everything? And why tell me not to trust it? The way it was worded, almost like she expected me to find it. Had she planted it? Was I walking into a trap, or was she trying to protect me? I had more questions than answers, but one thing was clear. I couldn't sit still anymore. I needed outside help. Someone to give me perspective. I wasn't going to the police. What would I tell them? My wife's alive, but she has an obituary? They'd think I was insane. I couldn't risk that. So I called someone I did trust, my friend Caleb. Caleb and I go way back, college roommates, worked together for a few years before he moved into cybersecurity. He's paranoid by trade, and that's exactly what I needed. We met at a quiet diner off Route 14. I brought the flash drive. Over coffee, I spilled everything, the obituary, the fake website, the hidden folders, the note. He didn't interrupt, just listened with that look he gets when something doesn't add up. When I finished, he took a breath. All right, he said. First off, this isn't random. Someone set up that site, mimicking the funeral home? That's targeted. And that photo? If you're sure it was never uploaded, that means someone had access to your devices. Or your home. He paused. You're sure it wasn't Ellen? I hesitated. I don't know. I found the photos of me on her computer. And the obituary was printed in her bag. But why the note? Why warn me? He nodded slowly. She's hiding something, but that doesn't mean she's behind all of it. Could be blackmail. Could be someone using her. The message, is it done? Sounds like someone pushing her. Maybe threatening her. That chilled me. I hadn't thought about it that way. He plugged the flash drive into his laptop and started digging. I watched him work, silent, nerves fraying with every passing second. 10 minutes later, he turned the screen toward me. Got something. He traced the fake obituary site to a server host in Phoenix, Arizona. The domain had been registered just 4 weeks ago. Paid for in Bitcoin. Totally anonymous, but the same email used to register the site had been linked to another domain, carterlifeinsurance.com. Another fake site, Caleb said. I checked it out. It's designed to look like a legit insurance portal. No public-facing content. Probably used for phishing or fraud. Something clicked. Ellen took out a life insurance policy last year. She made me sign the paperwork. At the time, I thought nothing of it. But now, I pulled up my email and searched Carter Life Insurance. Nothing. Not a single result. No confirmation, no policy details. It was like it never existed. You remember the name of the company? Caleb asked. I tried, but couldn't. It wasn't Carter, that much I knew. I would have remembered if it matched our last name. That's when Caleb looked at me. Evan, what if you're the target? I blinked. What do you mean? He leaned forward. Let's say someone fakes Ellen's death. They submit the death certificate to the life insurance company, a fake one, probably through that site. Then they collect the payout. I froze. But the policy's in her name. I'm not the beneficiary. Caleb's face darkened. Are you sure? My heart pounded. I'd never checked. I trusted her. He kept talking. If you're the beneficiary, it makes sense. Someone fakes her death, you get the money, but you don't know until it's too late. Then maybe someone disappears you and takes it from your account. Clean. I stared at him, numb. You think she's trying to kill me? He didn't answer. When I got home, Ellen was already there, early. She smiled, said she got off work early. My mind screamed at me to be careful. I played along. That night, I searched for the insurance paperwork. Nothing in the safe. Nothing in the files. When I finally asked her about it casually, she tensed just for a second. Why are you asking about that? I shrugged. Just realized I don't remember the company. She smiled, too tight. It's handled. Don't worry. Handled. Later that night, after she fell asleep, I went through her phone. It was locked, but I'd seen her enter the code 100 times. I got in. Most of it was clean. Too clean. Except one app, a secure folder. Password protected. I tried guessing birthdays, names. Locked out. Then while staring at it, a text came through from the burner number. He's suspicious. I almost dropped the phone. Seconds later, a reply from Ellen, not for long. I didn't sleep. I lay in bed next to Ellen, listening to every breath she took. The text replayed over and over in my head like a looping nightmare, not for long. What did she mean? What was she planning? It was 2:13 a.m. when I quietly slipped out of bed. My mind was racing, but I needed answers, not guesses, not theories. Facts. I crept downstairs and opened my laptop, hands shaking. I plugged in the flash drive again. Caleb's words haunted me. What if you're the target? First, I checked our bank account. Nothing unusual at first glance, mortgage, utilities, the usual spending. Then I saw a $7,500 withdrawal last week. Cash. I didn't make it. My throat tightened. I checked the transaction history. The withdrawal had been made at a branch Ellen used near the hospital. She had my signature. She could have signed off on it, our joint account. But where did the money go? Next, I logged into the life insurance portal, or at least tried to. But I couldn't remember the company name. I tried the ones I could recall, guessing nothing matched. Then I remembered Caleb's find, CarterLifeInsurance.com. It couldn't be that simple. It was a fake site, right? Still, I typed it in. The site loaded, polished, corporate-looking. There was a login field. I entered my email, the one I'd used for the policy last year. It worked. I was in. My stomach dropped. The policy was there, but the beneficiary wasn't Ellen. It was me. Evan Carter, beneficiary, $500,000. I scrolled further. A request had been submitted 3 days ago, a death claim. Status, pending verification. I stared at the screen, stunned. Someone was claiming I was dead. I double-checked everything. My name. My birthday. The attached death certificate, a PDF file. I opened it. My name. My birth date. Date of death, March 21st, 2025. Today. My breath caught in my throat. Someone had already declared me dead. I sat back in the chair, the room spinning. This wasn't just identity theft. Someone, Ellen, was trying to erase me. I heard a floorboard creak above. I froze. She was awake. I snapped the laptop shut, yanked the flash drive, and slipped it into my pocket. The stairs creaked. I moved fast, back to the kitchen, pretending to get water. She appeared, sleepy-eyed, in her robe. You're up late, she murmured. I forced a smile. Couldn't sleep. Had a weird dream. She walked up, wrapping her arms around me. I could feel her heartbeat against mine. Steady. Calm. You're cold, she whispered. So were her hands. The next morning, I told her I was meeting Caleb again, a cover. I needed to get out now. I packed a bag with essentials, cash, the flash drive. I didn't know where I was going, but staying meant dying. Ellen handed me coffee on my way out. I didn't drink it. I drove 3 blocks, pulled into a gas station, and checked it. Just to be sure. Sedative. I don't know what, but it tasted bitter, metallic. I spat it out and tossed the cup. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely grip the wheel. She knew I was running. My phone buzzed. Ellen, where are you? I didn't reply. I turned the phone off and drove. I booked a motel an hour away under a fake name. Caleb met me there. I showed him everything, the claim, the certificate, the sedated coffee. He looked pale. This is serious, he said. You need to go to the cops. And tell them what? I shot back. My wife faked my death and drugged me? They'll laugh me out of the station. Not with this, he said, holding up the flash drive. This is enough to get them looking. I wanted to believe him. That night, at the motel, I heard a knock at the door. I didn't answer. A second knock. Louder. My heart stopped. Evan. Open the door. Her voice. She found me. I didn't move. I know you're in there. Calm. Measured. Like nothing was wrong. We need to talk. She waited. I stayed silent. Then she said something I'll never forget. It's not what you think. You're in danger, but not from me. Silence. Footsteps retreating. When I opened the door hours later, she was gone. But in the hallway lying on the floor was another envelope. My name on it. Again. Inside. A photo. Of me. Sleeping. Next to it, a photo of Caleb. Sleeping. Caption, you're both targets. I stared at the photo for minutes before my brain caught up. Someone had been inside the motel room. Not just mine, Caleb's too. The photos weren't taken from a distance, either. They were close. Right there. Inches from my face. I ran to the window and yanked open the curtain. Nothing. Just the dark parking lot. A flickering street lamp. And my reflection. Pale, hollow-eyed, breaking apart. Caleb arrived 10 minutes later, still in work clothes, briefcase in hand. I met him outside, my voice low and urgent. They were in here, Caleb. Look. I handed him the photos. He stared, then swore under his breath. We need to move, he said. Right now. We threw everything into bags and left. Didn't even check out. Caleb had a cabin 2 hours away, off-grid, no neighbors, no cameras, no prying eyes. We drove in silence most of the way, both watching the rearview mirror. Every pair of headlights felt like a threat. The cabin was cold, dark, quiet. We didn't turn on the lights. Caleb had a generator, but we left it off. Didn't want to draw attention. We sat at the kitchen table with only his laptop glowing between us. Caleb laid it out. We've got two possibilities. Either Ellen's behind this whole thing, and the photos are a scare tactic. Or someone's using her, and we've both walked into something bigger. I told him about her last words through the motel door. You're in danger, but not from me. He rubbed his eyes. If she's telling the truth, who's pulling the strings? We dug deeper into the insurance policy, the fake site, the claim. Caleb found something. The bank account tied to the payout request didn't belong to me or Ellen. It was a shell account offshore. The real kicker? The IP address from the claim submission wasn't from our town. It was pinging from Dallas, Texas. We live in Illinois. Someone else filed the claim, Caleb said. They faked Ellen's death, then yours, all to collect the payout. But Ellen didn't know. She's trying to stop it. It made sense, too much sense. I felt sick. So what now? Go to the police. Caleb hesitated. We need proof. Something we can take to them that ties it all together. That's when we heard footsteps outside. Crunching snow. Slow. Deliberate. Caleb drew the curtain back a crack. His face went pale. Black SUV, he whispered. Two guys. They're coming to the door. We killed the lights. I grabbed my phone to call 911, but no signal. Caleb's was the same, jammed. A knock at the door. Louder. Bang, bang, bang. No words. Just knocking. Caleb whispered, "Back exit. Now." We slipped out the rear door into the freezing woods behind the cabin. Ran. Didn't stop. My lungs burned. My hands numb. Behind us, the SUV's engine roared to life. They knew. We made it to the road. Flagged down a trucker who drove us 10 miles into town. No questions. Just the kind of man who could smell trouble. At a 24-hour diner, we regrouped. Caleb opened his laptop again, connected to public Wi-Fi, and started tracking the IP from Dallas. He traced it through a VPN service, masked but not perfect. He found a username tied to the IP. McCarter88. I froze. Mark Carter. The name from Ellen's fake obituary. Caleb stared at me. "Do you know a Mark Carter?" I shook my head. "No one in the family. No one I know." He kept digging. Then he found it. A marriage certificate. Ellen Marie Carter. Married 2010. To Mark Carter. That's 5 years before she met me. I felt my blood turn to ice. "She's been married before," I whispered. Caleb nodded slowly. "She never told you?" "No." He found more. A restraining order, Ellen against Mark Carter. Filed 2014. Dismissed 2015. No details listed. Then nothing. No divorce certificate. No public records. It was like Mark Carter vanished. Caleb looked at me, grim. What if he didn't? What if he's behind all this? If it. He had the name, the motive, the knowledge. Who else would fake Ellen's death? Mine? Steal the insurance payout? And Ellen, maybe she knew. Maybe that's why she'd been watching me. Maybe she was trying to protect me from him. I pulled out my phone and turned it on. One message from Ellen, sent hours ago. "You're not safe. He's alive. Call me." I stared at Ellen's message. "You're not safe. He's alive. Call me." Her words burned into me, but I didn't call. Not yet. My hands were trembling too hard. Caleb sat across from me in the diner booth, face pale, eyes locked on his laptop screen. He had pulled up the marriage certificate, the restraining order, and every traceable thread tied to Mark Carter, Ellen's first husband, the man we'd assumed was dead or gone. But that assumption had been wrong. Dead men don't submit death claims or fake obituaries. They don't pay for burner phones, and they don't jam cell signals in isolated cabins. And they sure as hell don't watch you sleep. We needed answers. Now. "Call her," Caleb said. "Get her on the phone. Find out everything." I dialed. She answered on the first ring. "Evan?" Her voice cracked, fear, exhaustion. "Maybe both. Where are you? Are you okay?" "I'm fine. I saw the photos. The claim. The marriage license," I said. "You lied to me." A pause. Then. "I didn't lie. I was trying to protect you." "From what?" She didn't speak for a moment. Then from Mark. "He found me, Evan. 3 months ago." Her voice wavered. "I thought he was gone. After the restraining order, I ran. Changed everything. I met you, and I didn't want to bring that into our life. But he found me. I don't know how. He started sending messages. Threats. Said he'd take everything." I was silent. "I didn't know what to do," she continued. "Then the obituary showed up. I didn't write it. He did. I knew it was a warning, and the next one would be yours." I gripped the phone tighter. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because he said he'd kill you if I did." I looked at Caleb. He could hear every word. He nodded grimly. "Where is he now?" I asked. "I don't know. He's been watching us." I tried to act normal. "I needed time to figure it out, but it's spiraling, Evan. He's desperate. I found the fake insurance site, the offshore accounts. I confronted him. My blood went cold." "You spoke to him?" "He broke into the house," she said. 2 nights ago. Told me I had one chance to disappear or he'd make you disappear. A long silence. I printed the obituary to prove it, she said. I left it in my purse, hoping you'd find it. I wanted you to run. And the photos of me? I asked. Her voice broke. He made me take them. Said it was insurance. I didn't know what else to do. I closed my eyes. Every moment from the past few weeks crashed down on me. The fake sites. The death claim. The poisoned coffee. It wasn't her. It was him. And he wasn't finished. Caleb and I checked into a different motel under aliases. First thing, traced the money. Caleb, ever the digital bloodhound, cracked into the offshore account linked to the payout. It was active. Funds pending transfer, $500,000, my life reduced to numbers. The transfer was scheduled for midnight, 2 days from now. Plenty of time unless I wasn't breathing by then. We needed a plan. Evidence. We had fragments, documents, photos, logs, but not enough. We needed Mark on record confessing or slipping up. Ellen had an idea. We met the next day in a public park. Crowded. Cameras. Safe. She looked thinner, drained, but determined. We sat on a bench, acting casual. She explained that Mark had a safe house and abandoned property he used before off County Road 16. She'd followed him there once weeks ago but was too afraid to confront him. He keeps everything there, she said. IDs, papers, his laptop. Caleb's eyes lit up. We get in. Copy the files. That's our proof. That night, under the cover of darkness, we drove to the address. A rotting house, half hidden by trees, no power, no neighbors. Classic hideout. We broke in through the back door. The air was thick with mildew and decay. In the living room, a camera tripod facing the couch. On the floor, duct tape. A used syringe. My stomach turned. Caleb found a laptop. Booted it. Password protected, but he was ready. 10 minutes in, he cracked it. Inside, folders labeled with dates. Photos. Videos. Surveillance footage. Ellen's house. My house. Caleb's apartment. We copied everything. Then Caleb found a document. Contingency plan. I read the first line. Evan Carter, disappearance timeline. Below it, a step-by-step list. Surveillance. Drugging. Staged accident. Disposal. I was supposed to die tomorrow night. We had the proof. As we left, headlights blinded us. Mark Carter stood in the doorway, gun in hand. I really hoped it wouldn't come to this, he said. I froze. Caleb had the flash drive behind me. Mark smiled, calm. Give me the drive, Evan. Walk away. I stared him down. You already killed me. Remember? He laughed. Not yet. Then Ellen's voice from behind. No, Mark. You're done. She stood at the tree-lean, police lights flashing behind her. Within seconds, officers swarmed the house. Mark lunged, gun raised, but was tackled to the ground. It was over. Mark Carter was arrested. Charged with attempted murder, fraud, stalking, and more. The evidence on the laptop tied him to 6 other fake death schemes. He'd been at it for years. Ellen testified. So did I. Caleb's digital trail sealed it. We went home. Together. It took months to feel normal again, whatever that means. I changed banks, numbers, passwords. I still check over my shoulder. And sometimes I still wake up at night feeling watched. But I'm alive. And now I know who she really is. And I know who I really married. Not just a survivor. A fighter.